All right, so let's talk about the only 6 YouTube analytics that actually matter for getting clients and making money with YouTube. And why should you listen to me on this? Well, I have a channel with over 1 million subscribers. I also have a bunch of clients who I've helped get to really high numbers. I myself am making multiple 6 figures per month. Many of my clients are actually making 7 figures per month, and they're doing it primarily with a YouTube based strategy. And so that's why I'm qualified to teach this. And I've worked with a bunch of different people. I've helped 15 to 17 people get to 7 figures a year, and I've helped about 5 to 6 people get to 8 figures a year. So let's talk about the only 6 YouTube analytics that actually matter for getting clients, because I see all these people, sometimes on Twitter, sometimes, other YouTube videos, sometimes on Instagram or whatever. They're talking about these analytics that just don't matter. And these are the ones that actually matter. And if you focus on the ones that don't matter, you're going to be wasting a bunch of time, effort, attention, and your focus is going to be going in the wrong direction, which is going to lead to you getting confused, wasting your time, et cetera, et cetera. We don't want that. So, number one, revenue per 1,000 views. This is so important to focus on. This is something that, before I came into the YouTube scene, I didn't see a single person talking about this, and it's unbelievably important. And here's why. And I'm going to zoom in on this and talk about some things because this is so important. There are a lot of influencers out there. We're just going to say influencer that are broke. They might have 1 million followers. They might have like 100,000, 200,000, million followers, whatever it is. And I can't tell you, like, so many of them are broke. Why? Because the actual amount of money they make per 1,000 views, a lot of the time, sometimes it's like less than $10 per 1,000 views. Like, actually a lot of the time. And we're not just talking about the AdSense. We're not just talking about the money they make from ads on YouTube itself. We're talking about the whole picture, the front end and the back end, the products that they sell on the back end, their sponsorships, their affiliates, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of the time it is less than $10 per 1,000 views. And so even though they might be getting 1 million views, well, do the math there. You could be getting 1 million views every single video, and you're probably only uploading like one video per month. That's $10,000 a month if they're only making $10 per 1,000 views, and even less than that in many cases, right? So this is why it's so important. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we've got business owners, okay? People who treat YouTube like a business, who are, for lack of a better word, balling out of control, okay? They're balling. And why is because sometimes they can make up to $10,000 per 1,000 views. So this is per 1,000 views. Per 1,000 views. $10,000 versus $10 or less than $10. Okay, so this is why the revenue per 1,000 views matters so much, because everybody, especially when they're newbies and they get on YouTube, they make this mistake. Like, this is a problem that you probably don't even know that you have, but it's nevertheless incredibly important. Everybody just thinks, oh, I just want to get a lot of views. That's all I want. I just want to get a lot of views. I want to get the clout. I want to get this. And there are some strategies that can get you a lot of views, but you want to maintain this as much as possible. You want to maintain getting a lot of views, but also keeping your revenue per 1,000 views as high as you possibly can. And so that's why this metric is so unbelievably important. And it is why I absolutely obsess over it. And nobody else in the YouTube space was even paying attention to this before I came around. I actually did an entire study on this, where I basically did kind of like a YouTube audit. And of course, I have like a little bit of a public version of this, but I did like a YouTube audit where I kind of went over a bunch of different channels And I looked at a bunch of different things, but the most important thing was the estimated total revenue per 1,000 views. And you saw that there were a lot of channels. I mean, there's some channels making 9,000, 7,000 per 1,000 views. These are well-known people that have revealed their income publicly, and these aren't even all of them, not even close to all of them. This is just some of the stuff that I let the public see. Of course, my clients get to see this, but publicly I wouldn't reveal this. And then also I know what my clients are making, and obviously I would never reveal that to the public or even other clients. So I have like master lists that are more detailed. But yeah, you get to see like all these people. There might be people that are making getting a ton of views. Like Iman Gadzhi, he's getting a massive amount of views per month, at least at the time that he did this income reveal. But he's only making about $200 per 1,000 views, which is still pretty good considering it's mass market. He's actually an incredibly good marketer. So that's actually quite good for him, considering he's mass market. But then you've got people, like a lot of people actually, Boyd Cluess, for instance, making $9,000 per 1,000 views. Absolutely nuts. Charlie Morgan, $7,000 per 1,000 views. And I've seen much more extreme examples. Just as an example, a few of my clients do far better than that. So one of my clients, for instance, basically is a recruiter for a specific position. And he helps CEOs and executives in companies, founders, CEOs, executives, hire this very specific position, which is crucial, which is just incredibly hard to find. And when he places people, he makes tens of thousands of dollars every single time he places people in this position. And he uploads videos on YouTube. That's his primary way of getting clients. He kind of uses a YouTube/LinkedIn strategy, but YouTube is his primary way of getting clients. And he's making over $2 million a year, even though he only gets about 100 views per video. And these are crappy Loom videos, right? So that is an example. He's making probably around 20,000 per 1,000 views, like really, really good money. Another one of my clients, he gets probably about 500 to 1,000 views per video. And he helps people basically like a very common business software that like a lot of business owners use. And he is making about $1 million a month. He makes about $10 million a year. So he's also making, well above $10,000 per 1,000 views. So you can absolutely make a ridiculous amount of money if you actually know what you're doing. And a lot of people are making this kind of money and nobody knows it. That's another thing is like when you do this, like the competition doesn't know that you're making money. Whereas when you get a lot of views, people assume that you are making money. So you're going to get a lot of copycats and you're going to get a lot of competition. So it's one of those things where knowing your revenue per 1,000 views is so unbelievably important, right? And it just allows you to make, from a high level, just look down on it and just make unbelievably strong strategic business decisions. Okay. So I could go on and on about this one. I could probably make just like an entire video, an entire series of videos about how important revenue per 1,000 views is. But I will spare you. We'll move on to the second one on the list, which is click-through rate. So getting your click-through rate up is probably the single thing that is the least amount of effort and will get you the most outsized results when it comes to actually getting more views. And there's basically one way of getting your click-through rate high. And it is obviously making a good thumbnail, but more than that, making sure that your thumbnail, your title, and your intro are dialed in. So what I call this the holy trifecta. Okay? Holy trifecta. And the reason I call it the holy trifecta is because it's your thumbnail, I'm going to say TN, it's your title, and it's your intro. So it's your thumbnail, your title, and your intro. And the reason I put all these together is because sometimes I will see people have a great thumbnail, a great title, and a great intro, but they don't make sense with each other, right? So for instance, you might have a really good thumbnail where you're making a shocked face, like a oh face like that, but then your video is the best, software for, I don't know, agency owners or something, right? The face that you make in your thumbnail doesn't make sense with the title. It doesn't make sense. You have a shocked face, and then in the title, you're like, this is the best. So you have like a negative face, and then the title is so it doesn't make sense. So not only do your thumbnail, title, and intro have to be good, but more importantly, they have to be congruent. Okay, so this is a very common mistake that I see people make. You know, you hire a thumbnail editor from Fiverr, and they might even make a good thumbnail. If you find a good one, they might even make a good thumbnail for you, but it doesn't make sense in the context of the title and the intro, which is why I recommend actually doing these three together. Okay, I recommend you do these three at the same time. And when you do that, it's much more likely that they're going to be congruent with each other. And when you have a good thumbnail, title, intro that's also congruent, you are going to absolutely take off. Assuming one thing, which is you have a good video idea, right? And the way you find a good video idea is with the icon method. So if you nail having a good video idea, you actually, in many cases, don't even have to have this stuff. Doesn't even have to be that good. Now, if it's good, that's good. You want it to be good. But if you nail having a good video idea using the icon method, which I've talked about in other videos, exactly what the icon method is, a lot of the time your thumbnail, title, intro actually don't even have to be that good, and your video is still going to perform. And so that's why the idea itself is actually the most essential thing, even when it comes to your click-through rate, right? You want an idea that people actually care about. You want an idea that has a starving crowd of people. Just to give you an example, you could be making Michelin 5-star food, like the best food in the world. But if you try to sell that food to people who are exiting a buffet, they just ate a buffet, they're totally full, you're probably not going to sell very much of it, right? It's going to be a little rough. However, if you sell hot dogs, which are objectively, not the best food in the world, obviously, but if you're selling hot dogs to a crowd of starving people, they're going to sell out every single time, right? So that's the difference. Like an idea, you want to make sure that it's an idea where the market actually cares about this idea, right? This is just so important because, hey, if you're selling Michelin 5-star food to a starving crowd, hey, that's great. But you don't even have to. I mean, Michelin 5-star food is difficult to make. You could be selling hot dogs to a starving crowd, and they're still going to eat it. Doesn't matter. So the idea absolutely reigns supreme. And you find the idea using the icon method, which is essentially, again, I can't go into detail. You guys obviously would have to watch the other video, but it's essentially finding crappy videos from a small channel that did well anyways. And if it's a crappy video and it's from a small channel, it doesn't have any advantages. And so the only reason why the video did well is because of the idea. It had to be the idea, right? That's the icon method. And so that's how you get your click-through rate up. Okay, click-through rate, basically the way the YouTube algorithm looks at people is, and this is actually going to be the next one. So I'll just go ahead and reveal the next one as well. The next one is average view duration. But click-through rate is even a little more important than average view duration because the way that it looks at videos is it's click-through rate times average view duration. And you want whatever that number is to be as high as possible. And the thing is it's significantly easier to double your click-through rate than to double your average view duration. Like doubling your average view duration is very difficult. I mean, first of all, you'd have to make a significantly better video to double your average view duration. And we're not talking double as good. We're talking probably 10 times better video to double your average view duration. Whereas the thumbnail, you can make it's pretty easy to make your make sure that your holy trifecta is dialed in, make sure that your idea is good. And it doesn't take that much time or effort to make a better thumbnail and to a better title and a better intro and a better idea, right? So that's why click-through rate is actually more important, especially at first. But then average view duration is quite important as well. So those are two that you really want to pay attention to. And when it comes to getting views, guys, that's about all. I mean, you really don't have to pay attention to any other stats other than that. I will give a caveat at the very end. But yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to getting views. And again, to get your average view duration up, you want to make sure that your idea is good. because your video doesn't have to be that good if your idea is good. People are going to watch it until the end. If you're selling to a starving crowd of people, they're going to watch your video until the end, right? So that's important. And then also making sure that your intro is good and your intro is congruent with the title and the thumbnail. And when you have all those things down, it becomes significantly easier to get more views, right? Next. And by the way, before I even go on to that next one, guys, you might be thinking, well, Shane, why is this channel so bad? Like, why is it that you're just recording Loom videos and stuff like that? It's because I'm attracting a sophisticated audience. Okay. I'm attracting an audience of people that are business owners. Okay. Business owners that want to monetize with YouTube. It's basically YouTube for busy business owners, people who really want to take YouTube seriously and they want to make an absolute ton of money from YouTube. Right. A lot of the people I work with are already doing, 100,000 a month, $1 million a month. And then I get them from 6 figures a month to 7 figures a month, or I get them from 7 figures a year to 8 figures a year. Right. And so I'm attracting a sophisticated audience and I don't need to make super fancy videos. Now, in the future, I might make my videos a little bit, nicer and a little bit better, but I don't need to. It's not a necessity for me to make super fancy videos because I'm attracting a sophisticated audience. I don't have to entertain, 16-year-olds that are used to TikTok, right? I'm attracting a sophisticated audience. Most of the people who watch this channel are business owners. And those are the types of people that tend to work with me, which, by the way, if you want to work with me, links in the description and the pinned comment below will give you the best 45-minute consultation that you'll have all year. And we'll tell you what your blind spots are, what your problems are, diagnose them, and also tell you a roadmap on how you can get to your goals on YouTube. Anyways, let's go ahead and reveal number 4. Qualified booked calls per 1,000 views. Now, this is obviously if you are selling a high ticket product or something where people have to get on the phone with you, but qualified booked calls per 1,000 views. Now, why isn't it just booked calls per 1,000 views? Well, you could be booking a ton of calls, but maybe, a lot of them are not qualified, right? So I only count the qualified booked calls per 1,000 views. Now you can do this per video as well. So you can basically do qualified booked calls per 1,000 views, or you can do per video. And that's more for testing individual video ideas, because you might find that certain videos get a lot of views, but they don't get a lot of qualified booked calls. And this, of course, is going to be different in every niche. There are some general guidelines and stuff and kind of like templates that I give people, like try these videos out. But, some niches, one video might work really well. Other niches, a different video might work really well. But you want to track the qualified booked calls per 1,000 views. And, there might be people out there that, get one qualified booked call per 1,000 views. And there might be other people that get like 3 per 1,000 views, right? But this is seriously important to track, and you really need to know what this is. Now, I like to do everything in 1,000 views. If you wanted to, you could do qualified book calls per 1 million views. I just like to keep everything kind of the same. I do revenue per 1,000 views. You could do it per 10,000 views or 100,000 views or whatever you want, but I like to just simplify things. Qualified booked calls per 1,000 views. And yeah, this is extremely important to know. It shows what videos are actually booking calls that are qualified, the right types of people. And then you want to make more of those types of videos. And you can kind of do the math in your head where you're just like, okay, I've got video format A, which gets 10,000 views per video, and it books 1 qualified booked call per 1,000 views. And then I've got video format B that gets, like, let's say 4,000 views per video, but it books 3 qualified booked calls per 1,000 views. Well, overall, that's 12 qualified booked calls per video for video type B and 10 qualified booked calls for video type A, right? If you do the math there. So you'd go with video type B. in that case because you're getting more qualified book calls. But you can also consider other things like which one you enjoy making the most, which one is more evergreen, which one you can kind of reproduce over and over again, et cetera, right? But that's the one that you'd probably lean towards making more videos about. All right, number 5, revenue per qualified book call. Now, this is actually a great metric for testing how good your salespeople are. Okay, so this is honestly probably the ultimate metric, revenue per qualified book call for testing how good your salespeople are. Now, I've seen people that are doing about $500 per qualified booked call. And I've seen people that are doing up to like $5,000 per qualified book call. It depends on your niche. It depends on your market. $5,000 is quite rare. A lot of the time, people are going to be in the 1K to 2K range here per qualified book call. So 1 to 2K range, right? And of course, by the way, not all qualified book calls are made equally. If you're doing qualified book calls from paid ads versus doing qualified book calls from content creation, a lot more people from the actual content creation are going to close because those people are just much easier to close than if you're doing it from a paid ad. Just keep that in mind. So yeah, 1 to 2K. If you're doing paid ads, it's even a bit lower than that. But yeah, 1 to 2K. Per qualified book call. A lot of people are in that range. Sometimes you can get a bit higher, and I've seen up to like 5,000, right, in certain niches. So revenue per qualified book call, this is testing how good your salespeople are and their sales team. Now, notice I didn't say revenue per call that shows up. And the reason that I don't say that is because the way I like to see it is once somebody is scheduled on the salesperson's calendar, it is their job to make sure that person shows up to the call. They need to be following up with the person. They need to be messaging them, emailing them, finding them on social media, et cetera, following up with the person to make sure that they show up to the call, right? And it's very important that you basically have somebody who is responsible for that, right? You either put the responsibility on the marketing team or you put it on the salesperson, but it's just a lot easier to put it on the salesperson, because it just makes a lot more sense if you do that. They need to be following up with the person. It's going to make it a lot easier for them to close when they've already messaged them a few times as well, because the person's going to feel more familiar with them, right? So this is what you put on your salesperson, revenue per qualified book call. Very, very important metric to track. And notice, by the way, that if you track this metric, there's so many other metrics that you don't have to really track all that much. I mean, sure, you can track show up rate, you can track close rate and all that kind of thing. But really, this is like the master KPI, revenue per qualified book call. And you could have one salesperson that's like, oh, I'm not getting good leads, or oh, I'm not getting a good show up rate, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, we are sending them a qualified book call. How much revenue are they closing per person? Are they evaluating, oh, is this person a good fit for the lower ticket offer, maybe like the $5,000 offer, or maybe this person is a better fit for the $15,000 offer, right? And that's going to reflect in their revenue per book call. Okay, so it's very important that you track this. This is just like a master KPI to track. And then views. Okay, so I put this one at the very end for a reason. Now, this one you might be thinking, well, views? Who cares about views, right? Because Shane, you've been telling me all this time, like, stop caring about views. Views don't matter. Well, it's right that they don't matter, but at the same time, it's very important, especially when you're thinking about the CTR and the average view duration, to consider views. And the reason for this is because a video that gets 1,000 views, okay, we're going to say this video got 1,000 views. It might have, let's just say it has just to make things simple, 10% click-through rate. And then it has I don't know, let's just say like a 5-minute average view duration. We're just making these up. Don't take these numbers to heart or anything like that. And then a video that gets 10,000 views might have let's say like an 8% click-through rate. And it might get I don't know, like let's say a 4-minute average view duration. And then a video that gets 100,000 views, let's just say, has a 6% click-through rate. And I've had numbers similar to these, by the way. And it gets like, I don't know, like a 3.5 minute average view duration. And then a video that gets 1 million views might have like a, I've had it as low as like 4% click-through rate. And it's got a 3-minute average view duration. Okay. So which one of these would be the best? Actually, go ahead, pause this video and answer. Look at these and tell me which one of these would be the best. The real answer is it depends. It depends on the revenue per 1,000 views of the different types of videos. That's the real answer. That's the best possible answer. The second best answer is this one's the best. Why? Because there's more views, right? So you might be thinking, well, this one had a 10% click-through rate and a 5-minute average view duration. Well, that's because YouTube only showed this one to the people that are like, it's 100% certain are going to like the video. And so therefore it was easy to get these good numbers, right? Whereas this one, YouTube determined a bunch of people are going to like the video. And so it actually like put it to more of a general audience and you got way more views. So assuming that all of these have the same revenue per 1,000 views, then this one would be by far the best. Okay. Now it gets a little more complicated when you calculate, let's just say you calculate like this one gets, let's just say $100 per 1,000 views. And this is where it gets a little complicated. Bear with me. I hope you're not freaking out because we're doing a little bit of math here. But this one got 1,000 views and it's making $100 per 1,000 views. So that would be, okay, we're just going to say per 1K views, right? $100. So that would be $100. Okay. Or sorry, let's just say, actually, let's make this more interesting here. I'll give you guys like a much better example here. Let's just say this video got 1,000 views. It's making 1K per 1,000 views. That means this video would make $1,000. Okay. This video got 10,000 views, but it's making 3K per 1,000 views. And that means it made about $30,000. Okay. This video is making, this video got 100,000 views and it is making 2K per 100,000 views. And so that means it made $200,000. And then finally, this video right here got 1 million views, but it's mass market content. It's only making about $100 per 1,000 views. And that means that, 1 million times 100, that means it made about 100K. So the real answer is this one is number one. This one is number two. This one is number three. And this one came in at last place, number 4, right? That's the real answer. Is it depends on other factors, and this one's number 1. But if you chose this one not knowing any of the other information, that would probably be a safe bet. So you do have to pay attention to views, because the more views you get, chances are you're going to see these stats go down, and you have to understand this very important thing called context. Okay, context is very important when it comes to all of this. So that is a little bit of a masterclass on the only 6 YouTube analytics that actually matter for getting clients. Again, if you'd like to work with me, I will be offering 45-minute sessions where we basically, 1, diagnose your issue, kind of like a doctor, your specific situation. 2, see if we're a good fit to work together, right? 3, we'll give you an action plan for the next 3 to 6 months for how you can reach your goals. 4, see if it's a good fit for us to work together on that action plan. And then 5, make sure you're happy, and then maybe we work together, maybe we don't. But those are basically the steps that we go through. All right. So you can book that down in the description in the pinned comment below, and have a good one.